behind you. It's a sports way, no. What you do, pray no, and no man for can once. The way and now will be a chum. I'm telling you, sir, Obi no Obebuao. Assuming next season, you see Liverpool struggling to make the top 4. You see, sir, supporters and normal body and slots, so no. Who wants to make us a second wasan, Kofa coach from Ra. And they homage Yomuti at the over 100 million euros. Ko Germany, Kofa Brantia, your friend no a year rate. Yes, Germany in this year, and Yasam get to a crowd. For Bundesliga, ni muneba, ebe room say price tag and to me and disturb no. Now Liverpool team no, and slot the no person all year because then you know him say, do you hear say be obenya defensive midfielder back, or back on when you right back, when you left back. Now fi the wingers near sorted, nanka wa pair striker back or back on. But then they are trying to buy a creative player. Say obetumi ababwa na creativity aspect of the game wababwa mo ye be hwe se ne ompese mo set your team up will enter into red na fi bibia tumi ayede akoye but Arsenal the Gunners bibia kire say they need an out and out striker who can give them 20 goals. Manchester City Pep Guardiola say quite bia so they will be back and they will try and close the gap between them and Liverpool. Chelsea Andrea Ultimu say yes, a man for be drawn right Chelsea off, but I knew that Chelsea was going to qualify. I had no doubt. Say Man United stopping Aston Villa was something and I mean envisage. So as soon as Everton going to beat Newcastle, Nami was having na papa anyasem ketwa. Uko piemu ewo Italia. Lazio. Ultimu say yes, me no care. Fiorentina for I don't think about after I go down, I'm going to share a year. Bobo friend Udinese. I need the last year slot for Europe. Almost snatched the FA last year. Brought me 3 man. Let's show me 1-0, 10 against 11. Just I did last year to me this season and say almost to me co share 2 goals. I just stop Inter Milan from winning the league. Apart from that, through Campa, you be room. Inter Milan now they have their destiny in their own hands by beating Paris Saint-Germain to win the Champions League. So you be sure yes they are normal cut trophyless. A very painful part after very good season, you know. Almost me win trophy be a very hard dream part. Uko the Spanish La Liga na so ni nyina bibia tumi abawie. Bia tumi abawie. Espanyol escape relegation in Yasem Kitoaka. Leganes after winning their last game, made to catch us almost relegation into the woman. No. Sunderland so hey, I'm one there. Ball and I'm sure and team say yes. There was no way another Sunderland made to me turn things around. Now so football no minute per 8 minutes baby. A brand here be a friend of Watson. I could wish wa fi bench by the way we play see ball and share and 2-1. And then Sheffield United after say almost top it league table no, for a very long time. No, they couldn't qualify through the playoff. The most expensive football game in the world. And of course Sunderland and they almost winning 200 chance this time around and cementing the position in the Blasters team. Sunderland walk up next year no. Abrantian be Kobina bibia so etimi akoyim. We any in summer any Ghana Premier League and moons and some I bro. And yeah the air bro. Shannon so say okopiemu wo Facebook Street is watching streaming showing live so na ABN Radio 1 so you twa good den anyasem keto but what dey join here na afi yen hwimbom okopiemu so wo Facebook and as a YouTuber MYBET.AFRICA TV so na online radio near MYBET online radio ko Telegram account also nyasem keto akra sports arena SPORTS otintema ARENA sports arena na bibia so etumi akoye awono therefore ha se me ma nyina kwaba na afi ahwe games ni nyina ehwe ni nyina wi a enei metuma ka che se Stuttgart so age the DFB Pokal so na Paris Saint-Germain age Coupe de France so na FA Cup no so be anim say wo ko e friend no Crystal Palace Nigeria na okopie mu e Kings Cup no so Barcelona Nigeria and Bologna and so energy the Coppa Italia e honom ya for mama kwaba
listo
bibia kama there
kama
games no say season ni na ba we let's run up the season na fi yendi mu nkomo.
Okay, so a games now starting free Italy. I think Champions League sports now. Napoli, Inter, Atlanta, Juventus, and they qualify. Now Roma, any Florentina, they be Remo Europa, any Conference League respectively. So I think say Italy league this season, see leagues a call to the last day, to the last moment. May say is one of the leagues. I did that excitement, I did that joy. I think the Italian Serie A, essay nyasa, and essay nyasa exposure here. We are here. The EPL of course so ye name him say the top 5 race was one of the most important things and clubs in be so meet me especially clubs like Chelsea, Aston Villa, Newcastle. At the Inter and make answer and said these are clubs they were looking at next season on better players. They were looking at entering into competitions a bit more revenue and more meeting their transfers. Some were even looking at keeping some of their key players. So it may rather the Champions League man. Into games they start here and Manchester City no need for one. Manchester City no here just a draw to be able to qualify for the Champions League spot. Into another game with a game against Fulham will be in Cottage Park or no Fulham had been but Man City that early go from Gundogan etimi boam or mutiminya that main way point I bet me a bomb say even though it's a Fulham babetia they will still be in the Champions League. You hear Aston Villa any Man United me boss who are Friday and they say Man United in the last 5 meetings with Aston Villa in all competitions no. Utimiye no utimi team my friend Aston Villa ntine be den am Aston Villa but I think emu be den time Martinez the last game for Aston Villa with that bad error I think it was a basic error. I wasn't expecting an experienced goalkeeper like him to do. The best thing now can so here say Hoyland this season the confidence with him so the best thing is to scare him not on ball no until free corner the angle was far obetimi abo defender be betimi recover and maybe mpa ontimi mbo on target and betimi abo 11v11 in Aston Villa betimi IBB. But I think on the day 2 that decision for Morgan Rogers go or share referee ball whistle and VAR coming in ya de back I think VAR at the end of the season that's something review nyama bebre at the Inter make us and say we've seen the decision says a referee ball whistle and sana ball ne bekwa kwhye pole no VAR doesn't step in which at the back where hard because in the game of football we are expecting say VAR ne baba be correct little errors are referee into me who and that decision the goalkeeper ne nya the hold of the ball ye into no kwan bia so no player ne the 9 can referee ne ni ntimi nkohu that particular angle no into a hona ye de VAR ba so mboamba mbeboa na yentimi make good decisions yentimi mboa na enyama ntimi nkoye because that particular decision cost team a friend Aston Villa Champions League football which at the end at the back where hard on the last day a decision will cost you your Champions League at the back where hard. But I think United Ebomo they will be na more winning in brand and make sure say Kwame Biaso their last game at Old Trafford no season now they will be able to pick that win which was their 7th win our best one Man United team and you meet me Aston Villa any Newcastle any Everton. I think Friday ni edi nkomo aka so obetimi mpodi utia to say Everton kwan bia so no obetimi a team a friend in Newcastle. I think to me Newcastle doesn't deserve that Champions League spot. I didn't make us and say
is it down to the last game or
down
overall?
Overall they didn't start the league well. They do baby on a good run of like 8 games time and Isaac ever top form. After that Newcastle performance no of him. So if your teams are not more play the Champions League spot or no pay and an A team are no go home apart from Nottingham Forest. Intino, I think there's a Chelsea, Aston Villa, any Memphis is a Man City go home. We would have equally rate them say they will qualify for the Champions League automatically because in himself Stamford Bridge crowd never boy Chelsea, Aston Villa go home Uncle Lusu against Man United. But Onubo home against him a friend Everton. No being him say Everton has nothing to lose. Newcastle have everything to win on the night. A full lineup, but still the performance was so poor to the extent say share the performance at Newcastle down on the night. I think Obi Bisase between these two teams, why they be or share Champions League football? I because say be a Newcastle. Because say be a Everton, sorry, because of boy, they were able to dominate the game, make sure said that crucial goal on Benya to make sure say Newcastle won't qualify for the Champions League no more year. But I think Aston Villa didn't have a good night. And Nam goes back whom you know concede or maintain Chelsea in Nottingham Forest. Yembo we a friend is saying Enzo Maresca Basuye, Yembo Levi Cole, Chelsea defense, Sanchez, in him say do baby, not Chelsea fans at times Sanchez see say or home. Before ye be April mono. Not Chelsea group of games or more. Share 10 next 10 games are no bebo Fulham or bebo Everton or bebo Jagadin or the Conference League or bebo Liverpool or bebo Jagadin be no bebo Newcastle, Man United, Nottingham Forest. Every pandit will reassess him be right Chelsea off. So with these fixtures against Fulham or share Chelsea, Everton on the Chelsea ball draw, Liverpool or share Chelsea, Newcastle Chelsea winning against no any Man United on the board, or Nottingham Forest on the board. To read the 10 games now, not only 2 na Chelsea team picky win a woman towards this game, but Chelsea me call all the games 9 games wins and Otimi elusu just 1 against Newcastle. And with the red card in Yama Bebre. I think defensively, Chelsea last 3 games on my boy, winning na Omutimi keep clean sheet. I had back my boss and shares about so you said the season is starting and you can't goalkeepers chances leading to error. If the error leading to goal or be bonity, you on one way where your friend is saying Ipswich for a goalkeeper. Apart from that, Sanchez said to me about no more DNA. Chelsea with a 1-0 win. Their faith never won same, but with a lose to Newcastle, Aston Villa, and Chelsea and winning crowd, they will still qualify. Making sure say they would win and give their fans that chance. I'll make me in the Champions League. And they say England teams will make me the Champions League. Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea, Newcastle, and the Tottenham will me winning the Europa League will make me and the 6 teams in the free England will make me the Champions League. Now we share the Europa Sport. The Europa Sport, Crystal Palace, Enzo Ebewo, and Aston Villa, and the Europa Sport. Then Nottingham Forest, 30 years of not entering Europe, or making me the Conference League sport. I think on the day teams now we were expecting for them to get into those sports in the I think.
Sure.
Yes, I think Nottingham Forest they shouldn't be disappointed.
The teams
like that.
You expected, and I say
no, the team I expected.
Because
to get there anyway. I think their pundits they were looking at Chelsea only chance send them a more fixtures but they were able to prove everybody wrong. I think in Enzo Maresca press conference after the game or voice out there's a voice out, and I think na BBH move from mid-season time at Chelsea drop here and Bandra or catch him say in English or in an English word or catch him say F off Omunina because they doubted them and they made me the Champions League sport. I think Nottingham Forest Conference League near the back where with their performance, any players who meet me add, they can get there and win. Conference League in him say teams number 1, and yes, I'm writing them off, but they are not top clubs like that. Entering that particular sport a bit more bomb. Aston Villa, so Unai Emery, a coach, Unim Europa League ni boy ye pa, Unai Emery. Maybe they can get to win another trophy with that Europa League. Aston Villa were the players to be able to win, but the only thing they said the cash injection from the Champions League in Europa uji Europa League na uji 40 million, uji the Conference League uji 20 million. Now the Champions League ultimately the Champions League 127 million. It's no more say they can get into that Champions League and win. And they mean to me rim. You share Real Madrid in Spain kakra Xavi Alonso and they were signing our Real Madrid coach. You share say obeti me atoto nyama ye na rumors say cost no say Osi Rodrigo a important player man or a Real Madrid player still and obehia no and Real Madrid and so so obeti me tu scammer Liverpool for Alexander Arnold send you obeti me dey na bo FIFA Club World Cup no in komo a cost na akwa kosi say Liverpool person oje 5 million if Real Madrid ho send you be Alexander Arnold kwan amaneti me abo the we friends say FIFA Club World Cup in negotiations say cost say Real Madrid beat to your own to your free and him the 14th of June who information by say Real Madrid betray no met me use na so mbetwen akopem 1st of July na Alexander Arnold ababe yo player Man United in so Real market no Indra after their game no met me assign Kunya. I think he's a good player who share the performance this season apart from the top 10 teams or more asiye no on their player with me ashe goals baby with 13 goals with Man United setup playing as a 10 with the likes of Bruno, Zexi, maybe Ahmad Mo, any Macy Mount, Beboa. I think Man United, as well multi-million transfers in them, targeting players a bit me a bomb, send your multi-million competitions from the other club. So with Chelsea, we are the Champions League. We are looking out for say now they can go in for their main targets, their top targets, and they can rebuild that team for the Champions League. Send your multi-million and Kogu or Menimasi Ewo.
Okay. Yeah, you show games now.
Yeah. Listo, I think that finally na marathon about it. Meaning say we also be checking pictures be na or that to swam me. Yeah, wrapping up the league in style. I think for the past 10 years this is the league I have say Listo yenya that last game attention because if we do baby the teams on local relegation we the English Premier League and probably let's say the Bundesliga, the major 5 leagues in La Liga, in a year Serie A. Not teams are local relegation, they are all fighting. Yeah, according to the last day. Samsung teams are almost so pay the top 4 race on pay European sports no a buyer to the last day, and even the Italian Serie A. The Obeji, the La Liga, no, a buyer to the last day. So I think that we for the last 10 months, past 10 months, actually, you are witnessing a very nice leagues across all centers. And they opinion they call Ancelotti, who check here and they were joining a Brazil national team, after Madrid for a no man that respects or Estadio Santiago Bernabéu, no, joining a year. Brazil fan and watch at least to what do do Brazil or cry or must start here with international break about start here on so baba start here baby juma and they opinion there is Xabi Alonso and now pay Madrid for so announce no as the new coach or baba replace Carlo Ancelotti. This is a player of Boma Real Madrid from the academy a call out as Sanso Madrid they know over 200 games and then they you won a stint with a Bayern Leverkusen, especially the last 2 years, or the Bundesliga, and at this season, or also second for Real Madrid. And they Madrid for announced Xabi Alonso, and they Leverkusen for appointed United for former coach Ura Eric Ten Hag. There's also Kwakubo Ejumano, a German, and Ten Hag, so they Leverkusen for so announcing. Just say Enya Goody and most Tena, one of the Tena, especially the most footballers, Real Madrid fans, a bit of virus, we say no more Rahuyepa, a bit of Luka Modric. Listo Becker in 2012, when Luka Modric got joining Real Madrid and Mourinho Ohono, at joining Madrid at the age of 26. No one knew, but people didn't understand why Madrid was going in for such a player. And in the first season at Real Madrid, Listo, he was voted as the worst player or the worst signing in that season. In 2012, he was voted as the worst signing, and Listo, a player who joined Real Madrid at the age of 26, about winning more than 20 trophies, more than 20 silverwares for Real Madrid, including the FIFA Club World Cup, the UEFA Champions League, Ebeji Ballon d'Or. I mean, he's one of the players almost be breaking down Lionel Messi, any Cristiano Ronaldo, almost monopoly. As in the winning the FIFA Ballon d'Or in the FIFA best, he's the player who be breaking and suddenly Karim Benzema Eba who check the number of trophies and in more he came in as a young man, 26 years, and then 30 plus years, and they were free Real Madrid. No, I think that Real Madrid are going to miss. For last week, Mika said for the first time in over since 2012, Madrid bought a season, a number be a season without that midfield trial of Casemiro, Toni Kroos, and Luka Modric. Now, Listo, Mami Remo with the league games in the course no Obekaya the last international break I predicted say Napoli was going to win a year the Serie A, and my main point I made was 3 main points, which is one, the coach okuta Napoli team or a Serie A winner, and they is a whoop coach at least or more the Champions League. Their coaches be more upe coach bia obitima starting rebuilding upe coach bia o call relegation ombe you free nkwasumu emma survivor. Their coaches are omutimi asa niema no ene o coach sa upe league domestic league najia ubetimi afre no. That is a year Antonio Conte. In terms of say, especially with the league, the Serie A no bono. Watching the 2 times, and you said acting 2 times, so 2 times with different clubs. That is Juventus, Georgia, multiple, and then they or the Inter Milan, Babaji, and then they Oba Napoli. Oba Napoli no. Now I may say 2 key players. That is the last time a Napoli GN in the name of Victor Osimhen and Victor Kvaratskhelia or missing half. The season. Okofa Belling. Akofa Scott McTominay, who was again the best player in the Serie A. And then they Obakaya when Scott McTominay free United. Matchebe post be said he thinks that is one of the biggest mistakes United are forced in the recent years. And Antonio Conte, a clear man. The kind of profile no enshada play enshada endorse in recent football. But with me, I'm a McTominay in terms of goals, running into the balls, and then Nyama. In fact, on the share the decisive goal. Abra na Inter share ba kwa no muntimi share. He scored that goal in front of the fans. And suddenly another player also scored ne by in Romelu Lukaku. So 2 key players out, 2 key players in. And on the final day at the Santiago Estadio Armando Maradona Stadium, these 2 key players in the absence of Victor Kvaratskhelia and Victor Osimhen, Lukaku and Abrantani Scott McTominay, a boss out 2 goals when they win here, and a historic. And they report him to say maybe he might not continue the job because previous weeks Mekacho said there's been a tension between Antonio Conte and Aurelio De Laurentiis, and you see Conte and Sangasano and he trademark on Munche. The only team I saw Munche was Juventus, and that company or Jet League in it was the last time now. When Timmy Angel Legno, that was when he left Alco Johnny, the Italian national team, and he won the Euros for the Italy national team before Oba Chelsea. He came to Chelsea, won the league on the first season, said the Iron Slot IE. The second season, or GFA Cup at the Chelsea Tosso 10th, Ofriho, went to Inter Milan, won the league, second season, 10th season, or something before. And it's obvious that I won't be surprised that if Antonio Conte, I'm another Italian club, right now, Waji League, it was obvious that Mebekacho said, don't expect Simeone Inzaghi to start some of the key players because at that moment, so we'll check it Inter team now. If they win by 10 goals, they are not winning the league. So, our destiny, their destiny was in the hands of Cagliari. Or no, he's not fighting for anything. We're fighting for relegation area. Even if Orenia only any European football, this is a Cagliari team or call Napoli. Naples Ecuador hotel. The Napoli fans from a year did the hotel to 2 knockout to 2 bomb from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. So they knew that it was going to be very difficult, especially Napoli playing at home, knowing for a fact say Omo winning a Magic League. So there was no way about risking the players that a season on my boy, on my idea, on the Champions League final, on just something incredible. On risking the players. Into the lineup now. Basically, Dumfries, Hakan Chanoglu, Henrik Mkhitaryan, Thuram, Lautaro Martinez, Nicolo Barella. All the most important players. Open was that here. And Mekasa no Friday no. But yes, still, Inter Milan went ahead to win a year game, no. I mean, it's going to be a very good season. A very good season for them, ups and downs, but it was very unlikely for them. And they check the Serie A, and they shock and say, Empoli tina fima Verona beshe no. Because check at least too. I didn't see Lecce winning against Lazio and Empoli losing to Verona. In fact, I'm not saying it's Italy for no almost fix the match, but people made an assumption say the Serie A and especially that Calciopoli list to Calciopoli match fixing. But you see, with Lecce and Empoli losing was something that I wasn't expecting, because list to Nanka Empoli winning your free relegation, which means that they will go 34 points. 34 points. Can even if Empoli is even winning at home, now Lecce Equakushe Lazio. Now Empoli for no, all they have to do is win your game, because at the moment who a better goal difference since Lecce, and it wasn't looking likely. So Lecce Equakushe Lazio, who is also fighting for an European spot, and they Lazio 65 points because of the fact that Omulusu that game, and they Fiorentina and I take it that spot, which is a Conference League spot, you know. And let's not forget, say that 2 Europa League spots. Bologna already, when they can't the Coppa Italia. So Bologna, any team and AS Roma are going to play. If Roma and now Lazio 8 million winning at least 2, and Comecco 69 points, which will give them the edge ahead of AS Roma to play the Europa League. So losing that game, people are saying, now Momo is a mate the same Kuba same say, I don't know Inter Milan shemu, Mama Inter shemu. Yeah. So what I say, drawing against Inter and losing 2-2 losing to Lecce at your own background, no. At least to meet Magase and Timiamboa. So to me, I think that the Serie A, Napoli truly deserve, or my idea, they deserve the almost deserved league, you know. Also after that, Inter so have a very good season, but I think that AC Milan were one of the teams that, I mean, I'm pull a surprise. In fact, they couldn't even get European League spots and Conference League spots this season. So I think that is going to be something that going to the days, they be remember the transfer. Like a report in said, Inzaghi after the Champions League, he might go into Al Hilal, and that Al Hilal transfer list he is going to be the most expensive coach. I mean, coach or just salary we are seeing now, and you're the manager or an agent, I think that you would advise him to do that. Now, I think that La Liga they're now done deal already. Barca winning at San Mamés and news.
And I think relegation for no.
Yeah.
It was between Leganes and
Espanyol.
Yeah.
And on say Mikacho say Espanyol no or winning the game on Saturday. And now anybody know Senkal away for near no. Empoli for near no. Win your game.
Empoli or draw crana.
Yes.
Kobenya we abo. Playoff. Yeah, because now Obenya I think 30
Empoli board draw crana Kobenya 32. Let's check what Lazio ko.
Okay.
So Empoli need there no modest Nikito Monsem. Right now in the La Liga, Barca 3-0 victory was needed. Atletico Madrid scoring Girona 4-0 was needed. And Villarreal, they needed that European spot. Catch was say in as much as Sevilla baby or than Sevilla no list to no Luzugrana. And yeah, they are Quebeco relegation. Because Legan is winning at 40, they will lead them with 4 points. But right now, team no here this winning year was Villarreal. And they did that. Easy, simple, momo. Winning against AS Sevilla. And the rival Vallecano, I mean, they've been able to get AS secure that position. They Real Betis almost secure Europa League spot that if to play a year in the Europa League. So I think that Espanyol did the needful. They were the Umane Alaves Milan when it mattered most. We need the games no to secure Valladolid, Las Palmas and Leganés. I mean, it was obvious that these teams were able to go. But Sevilla, if Oman almost with this abysmal performance of more than this season, I think they might go to relegation next season. Now to the Premier League. Before I call a Premier League, you know, Menra Onzena Basa Fon be Wojide Zeka the one master Swasu Omway and that 17 minutes alone those cash 2 goals no. Ko ti obeti ma bob 4 goals 5 goals be but at that moment na Pichichi no are too late. Kylian Mbappe listo waje the Pichichi in the first season for Real Madrid, and I think that me did say how important winning the Pichichi and the European Golden Boot, will mean so much for Xabi Alonso, especially with the mental toughness and how he's going to win some of the Real Madrid, Galacticos, or best players in the heart for them to play. Say right now, coach we Midemakuma, to Obama Xabi Alonso. Say me Kylian Mbappe, na Xabi Alonso say me cover right back. I will play and play it well. Me back, but then listen, I think that people are asking questions why Kylian Mbappe are winning the Golden Boot, but Uko Europa, Victor Gyökeres actually more than 50 goals. About the European Golden Boot now, and so is coefficient. So the reason why anytime be a kasa and at the 5 major leagues, and yes, the 5 major leagues recognized by FIFA, UEFA. In the 5 major leagues, which is England, Italy, Germany, France, and Spain. We a player who one goal, it means that 2 points. And then they play leagues aside the top 5 leagues. We a striker, 1 goal no so ebe mount 1.5 points. In the now Kylian Mbappe, onya 62 points. And a Victor Gyökeres, onya 58.5 because I don't know. Ni 1 goal, a man 2 points, a man 1.5. So even if I share 50 goals, na Kylian Mbappe share 40 something goals, because Kylian Mbappe go back could be a man 2 points, a man ahead today the top 5 rankings in the European Golden Boot, Kylian Mbappe in 62 points, Victor Gyökeres in 58.5, Mohamed Salah in 58, and Robert Lewandowski in 54 with Harry Kane 52 points. And you see, you will be shocked with the kind of strikers Real Madrid Kylian Mbappe, and they're just the only 3rd player. I'll bet me winning the Golden Boot after Hugo Sanchez in 89-90 and Ronaldo Ebeji Tuaso 3 times in 2011, 2010, 2011, and Osanso Beji in 2013, 2014, and 2014, 2015. No other Real Madrid player and imagine the European Golden Boot. 2 players per Kylian Mbappe in his first season waji the go Pichichi Asanchwaji the European Golden Boot, which is something that Ebema Oba starting the journey very well. And they are players in so many team in there. They are players who can start the journey very well, but end the note on a very bad. And your players almost starting here. Meet him the Vinicius Junior. Example, Edama Real Madrid fans. One starting the Real Madrid journey here. Obi to say Kylian Mbappe. One starting the Real Madrid journey Vinicius Junior. And even look Karim Benzema. One starting the Real Madrid journey here. And when he was leaving, he left when Oji Ballon d'Or, Oji the best player in the world, and then never be Breso, Etimi Eba Mubi. Now to the Premier League. I think that my man starting from Chelsea side. As a Chelsea fan, going into the game, I went through all the emotions because at some point I realized that in your city ground when the Man City call Lucy it's the same city ground that Liverpool call Lucy and Nottingham Forest this season they had their moments. So the Chelsea called some games on meeting. They also had theirs, and how at December Chelsea loses a game. So it was obvious that they can go in some bad runs and also return to good fortunes at any given point. But you see, Chelsea were going into the game without a striker. But yes, without Nicolas Jackson, it was Chelsea this season. And at Chelsea, it dropped most of the points. So, game this season, you had a lot of, thoughts, Charlie, without Nicolas Jackson, you didn't bubble on here. But you see, it was a blessing in disguise. And I remember, coach, post-match and in the pre-match, he mentioned, especially with Chelsea. And now Nottingham Forest, listen, Nottingham Forest, if you are playing against them, now Obaboni, they seems to win. Opa check game against Liverpool. Ultimo hold the ball in me first 20 minutes and as a Chelsea for they were not pressing enough. Person hold the ball now press up possessing football. And I realized no. That was when I realized no. Enzo Maresca, without he's a human being, don't mean 100%. That is the reason why I'm going to say tactically or your sound to send Papa na coaches are also different with Manuel Pellegrini and Pep Guardiola. He knows say Chelsea dominating game in this Aston Villa not for ebe punish you into your Chelsea game plan. In as much as they wanted to hold on to the game, no one person may counter press it Aston Villa for no. They left that job to us because listen to Aston Villa for on records any statistics up to Chelsea Aston Villa for no. They are if hold you onto the ball share other team person defend ya team share goals. And the reason why Ojope Chaloba ball posing at the rebellion himself, what they do is say send the crosses into the box. So you have one of the best players in your setup also be to defend the sack crosses into the box. And there until Osha used to game in the first half, not game next time. And the goal na Chelsea share was a goal from frustrations not time for his friend and when Chelsea when goal was share goal I couldn't even celebrate because I thought it was an offside. But yes, Osha Bona Kowo was looking at the last man for Northern Forest play and Anson make that move. And even in the second half, for checking Northern Forest now, how almost set up the game almost set up They knew that Chelsea didn't have a striker, so Chelsea be ball no more now midfield. Although Enzo Maresca didn't start Romeo Lavia as most of us expected, but Ohun says Sangare and other midfielders in the Northern Forest team and then Morgan Gibbs White also drop it deep with Sangare, Dominguez, and Anderson. They had a lot of men in midfield and then Omeja Elanga and Chris Wood up front. For that counter attacking role number one. Elanga or running for baby Chris Wood at the centerpiece. And he missed crucial chances. Some of the chances are not every Chelsea fan or the player expert say this ball should be a goal for Chris Wood. And it's one of those things in the game. So I think that tactically, Enzo Maresca, how Ora game in the mono, Ebuan in some way. Northern Forest in your movement, but Chelsea, I dare boy. Me who said Chelsea was going to win this game. Listo. Obekai 2021 Champions League final against Chelsea in Manchester City. So over there, posture. Anyhow, the Chelsea players will determine Obi to say Rudy Gamu, the one who my stadium na the brand Modi Jejom. When Omudi plays, but because especially last game of saying my players no Obi ade Omoma. But Omudi 2 times me who kukurea. Me who resumes now say no. This boys mental toughness no. I am very solid. They talk sports for any athletic for the video better say. In the dressing room, sa picture bi na Maresca, eje omuka so mutwa no. They allow some medium close to the team dressing room. Catch them say before I ever started season, there were a lot of bad mouth about this team. They're spending billions. They are inexperienced. And he mentions none of the pundits, top pundits were England, and even the supercomputers are my predictions. I'm a BNY predicts that Chelsea will even get a Champions League football this season. So one, Chelsea tactically, Enzo Maresca, HSO Italian manager, and he had ways and means obey their winning game. And your ball friend because in the first 30 minutes, especially in the first half, Northern Forest were dominating the game. And the idea, neighbor said, allow them to play. They can't score. So let them play. You share time you be near a moment you bet him their winning game. And aside that, list all mentally going to the city ground was something which was going to be very difficult. But Enzo Maresca, SIK, Levi Kowo, 9 years about Chelsea. If you want to play in the Champions League and be regarded as a legend, this is a game that you have to win. Don't rely on Manchester United, ni Aston Villa. Rhys James, Uba as a Cuban boy, Uba di John Terry adie. They were players are not more that big mentality. Come and defend and win for your team. They don't share the demeanor of the Chelsea players. Moise Kai said, "What do you look at?" But yes, still, he was winning all the possessions, interceptions, tackles. Tosin Adarabioyo, solid box defending. Ansana ene Reverend Obofo Sanchez. And before game no, na one a year he was the second goalkeeper in terms of saves percentage. But the no saves no here no. I take no joints. I ne upe goalkeepers are or more the most saves percentage with Mark Flecking. Averagely 76.6. The joint top goalkeepers are more the best save percentage in the league this season. In the no, at least all the Chelsea players, I think that mentally they needed that win to prove a point. Say the project, the Chelsea hierarchy, you know. In the no, after the game, me too be say Chelsea pa na league. What also fourth? All celebrity players in the just said as if say, and I realized that no. For the past 2 seasons, Chelsea more Champions League. So it means so much for these boys. And Akwa say, if you share Romeo Lavia, the Instagram post or in the slide, there was a picture. Not Jamie Carragher, I said in the picture, be why disappointed. Or the canny post, no. So I said, the players, they knew their criticism. Hey, when Romeo Lavia 50 million, the project Chelsea 1 billion project. Among the also sees, the players knew all this backlash. The coaches, they knew say, Massa, a man from pay us. We are spending the kind of players by a system. No, people are jealous of us, so we have to prove them wrong. And that mentality now, Enzo Maresca and the players in the course I game no, even made the game even more easy for them at the City ground. And I'm catching say if Chelsea were going to draw that game and Man United win here, it was going to be something about Chelsea. But this thing, win and go, you are not even thinking elsewhere. And then Everton and Aston Villa, they were even making the job even easier for Chelsea, even if Chelsea were going for even a single point in that game. And I think that a idea bomb right now, Listo, Enzo Maresca. Well, I mean, Medicanca said when he was at Leicester, it is something he also needs to work with. Maybe you also know it do be a team with that. Ebana from who check the championship with Leicester City. Or train league, when you do December now, no, I choose 12 or 13 points. No, as he seems to relax, be and over drop a point down till the die embers of the season. No, and I'll start to be winning some points. At the Ababeto Peleg, and same as Chelsea this season. And they who check Chelsea points 13 points behind Liverpool. Even last year, that point at Arsenal, they actually Chelsea was more than 20 points. So, I think that it's an incredible feat and a team now, you know. Me who so many years or more, you know, I was hey Charlie Chelsea party, but I understand them. In fact, before I told Boylimu ever be take you over no. Apart from say Yeji Champions League, adapt before that season. Now your team about apart from Frank Lampard or the about Champions League, Chelsea were struggling. We hadn't won the league since 2017. And before that, now I toss 10th, I toss 8th, I toss 12th. Before now we move back. So an incredible achievement. Last season, now you're fighting for Europa League. We got it. But United BG FA Cup a year from right now they are fighting for the top 4. Albania. So it takes the project to a certain phase.
So now there is, you can understand the jubilation.
Yes,
they are celebrating the progress of the project because the project has suffered a lot of criticism.
Yes,
people have said a lot of things. 1 billion bottle job, whatever. So the jubilation is as a result of the fact that they've been able to achieve the progress of the project. Now the next phase will be will they be able to compete with the early teams? That is, now they've qualified for the Champions League. Now what finishes 4th? So what it means is that you need to challenge for the title. So if you don't win the title, you finish second or third. What you saying?
Yeah.
Then it will be a progress. Maybe the Champions League, if you're able to get to the quarterfinals, who knows? Champions League, they will be able to miss the lack of the draw can make you, you know, beat me and Nama around. I want to say before you realize you are in the finals.
Yeah.
Because Paris Saint-Germain project, who would have thought? So even look at how they started the Champions League, how they struggled. Playoffs, no mutumi they qualify there.
Last season, comment me and league when Luis Enrique take you over. And a PSG last season.
Yes. But in the Champions League, they didn't do well, even with Mbappe. So I think people should understand that they are jubilating because of the success of the project. Now the project can be measured. You can clearly see there, this is where Chelsea is going. Now let and take us to the next phase of the conversation. That is the transfers.
Yeah.
Let's start with Chelsea there.
Yes.
Now it is clear, sir, if you are going to compete with the elite, there are certain caliber of players you need. Now the goalkeeping department, are we sure with what Sanchez ayeno? It appears that if Oyene ne say no, this is the opportunity for me and me keep a team like Chelsea, a big club, and young Kolabi ne yedi oma akambum intimidan Kolabi ano, so I can afford to make mistakes here. Though a young team, but there is no room for schoolboy errors. And it appears after Okoyi after being dropped or returning, you could clearly see that the errors, Wakati errors, with saves there, nobody can doubt say he's very good or a very strong hands, very commanding on the box. But mistakes in getting if he's able to cut those mistakes and not repeat it, can we say he can stay and do a job? And with Petrovic coming back, do we think that these two goalkeepers, we can rely on them going into the Champions League and fighting for the title? And even if you don't win, you come around maybe a second or maybe third. And the Champions League try to get to the quarterfinal. These two goalkeepers can they? So, then the defenders. So we have about 10 defenders now. 10 defenders now. Ebibeko loan. Why not? And Yedibiba Bekanwa. Defender Ben Obabe improve this particular team. I think the midfield there will not go there because everything is set. Now we come to the forward. Are we okay, sir? Noni Madueke as one of our wingers, Pedro Neto as one of our wingers, Jadon Sancho, what do we do with him? Now Mudryk, then we cannot even talk about him. And a striker, Jenshes are a conversation with.
Okay, to see a share from Chelsea goalkeeping department. Now I think Sanchez has been one of the goalkeepers. Senior my boss, from the start of the season, that Chelsea fans will be so Munja ne Kwampo man because the performance was bad. You who games waiting me across Chelsea the game against Arsenal. There are a lot of games waiting me across Chelsea. But I think going to the business side of the season, now being who say I got 10 games. How can Chelsea take advantage of all these 10 games and win and now qualify for the Champions League? He showed maturity, and that is what I think the likes of Todd Bowley and the sporting directors were still trusting Sanchez because of Munimandia or they buy into the game. We had the Premier League, I can goalkeepers or saves percentage. He's one of the best. Even your core across European top 5 leagues are UE5 in account. But the only thing worrying him was I think his decision making on the pitch. Boy, I said Sanchez, a bo simuno, or person or my pass be free across the team. But I think he has matured through me and say matured through pain. Getting the chance, I do baby now. We okotena bench. Twice one who said Debbie, he needs to come in and be that number one. So I think the goalkeeping department, as of now, Chelsea need problem. Going into the FIFA Club World Cup, there should be a real competition between Sanchez and Petrovic. That is where now, during the FIFA Club World Cup and the last few friendly games about to the start of the season, Enzo Maresca be pick back. But I'll be okay he rotating them based on performance. senior edit that competition. Him say every time there is competition, there is the edge for one person to outsmart the other. It is a goalkeeper's neighbor more than you know. Nebo ama club ne because Sanchez be demo ene no to make clean sheet to asu mienu because on Pese Petrovic be too na a call in the favor of Enzo Maresca and Chelsea teams. So I think goalkeeping department Chelsea need problem. I'm not looking at them spending money on adding another goalkeeper. Even though say what the likes of Pendes, Jorge Nsemu, or Muba Kubetima Strasbourg, or Betimia Cologne trying to find their feet, and also the next season, next 2 seasons, no Betimia Bema Babeboa. We share the defensive side. As of now, saying our kind Chelsea were 10 defenders. And their summer, I'm not looking at them being part of the team next season. The likes of Disasi will surely go. Meaning say Aston Villa with the Europa, no, they would like to cough up money and buy Disasi. They are bit dependent. I think and Renato Vega will surely stay at Juventus because of Juventus. It's maybe the Champions League. You know, they would like to get him part of their team. I think the likes of Memphis say Badlier is one player. I want him to stay in the setup because I like players on my ready to be squad players and ready to put up the performance to stay. Inti Badlier, Fafana, Levi Cowell, then Chalobah. I'm praying we can keep Chalobah and forget about this pure profit to be able to make him be that player. Uche team we or no any Levi Cowell, any Rhys James sa Cobham feel you know. So these are the people on Betimia integrated the rest into it. So he should be the one to also stay in the team. So I'll keep Fafana, I'll keep Levi Cole, I'll keep Chalobah, I'll keep Badleshe, and a Champon would be one player on so about him. Then I'll look at them adding another centre back, either Hato or Brightweight or Muba Kubetimiaba. Then we need another left back to be able to help Cucurella. So that one they can bring in. That is when I would go for even the likes of Hato because he can play as a left back, he can invert, he can overlap, he's good on the ball, he can play as a centre back. Obey remember in that type of Renato Vega way now
profile maybe.
Yes, into Hato would be one. He's 19 years too, a young player or experience. Our captain Ayas team ni being put. So he's one player I think they need to add in. So I'll look at these 6 defenders, either Hato or Brightweight or Mubako, to come into that setup, and the defensive side will be solid. With the middle or the midfield position, I think Andre Santos coming back with the Champions League would be something. I bet boy these players. Caicedo, Kopama, Enzo Fernandez. We share a lineup numa. Now Vicente can't about the excitement. We Chelsea lineup numa. Players from about Champions League ni muda ebidano. Omundu 10 impo. 10 impo de makoichi. 5 impo mundu. We Rhys James. We Rhys James. We Memphis Chalobah. We Enzo Fernandez Obebo be in January no. Bebre they've not tasted Champions League football before. Any Kopama into Caicedo with the whole lot of class of players they've not tasted Champions League into that excitement. You know, so these are the middle side of the pitch there. I don't think Chelsea have a problem, but the forward line, a whole and a concentration you call Bebre. Because you can't enter into the Champions League and go for the likes of Dilap more to try and build a Champions League team with Derby. We need experience. A player who will give you 30-35 goals. And to say, at least the rumors going on say your career say why not doing sport and on quite be as a person coach team of Champions League. So Chelsea goes into that particular bill for him. To me, I think we need a Victor Osimhen type of striker. At the Inter makers and say Chelsea needs a player who has a different profile compared to Nicolas Jackson. Meaning say Enzo Maresca in his press conference, I so no beat Nicolas Jackson similar but no. We need a player say a bobo here crosses into the box. Victor Osimhen can come in and play. See a ball against a team and here our striker dropping, being part of the game, holding up play, dribbling and doing everything. Nicolas Jackson can come in. And I think say Timinya Victor Osimhen, he would complement Nicolas Jackson here. Jackson will learn a lot from him because he's an African brother, and also make sure say he would improve and compete with him. And coach Bia pe players on be compete because as they are competing, you know, say Ebia Osimhen started game no actually two. Na Jackson but not the one be can. And maybe a game Osimhen be start on Shego Jackson be na join so no so baby mama be Shego then Abwa. So these are things that it will help the team improve. The left wing is also one position that Chelsea needs to get an experience there, because we have the likes of we're friends saying Estavio coming in, your Pedro Neto, your Noni Madueke occupying that right wing position. So we need to have at least one quality. Now for the Pedro Neto can help in on the left wing. Noni Madueke, who said this season will try that left wing position, he can also help in, so that the team will be balanced, because next season the league will be something that Chelsea fans say so the Champions League almost at least they should get into the knockout stages. The FA Cup, the Carabao, into air trophies, they are looking at least Chelsea next season also to me add another trophy. So if you are looking at competing in these 4 trophies, meaning say you need to have a good squad. Until I'm looking at in the striking position, Victor Osimhen should be one player they should add, and on the left wing position, if they can convince the likes of Rodrigo to come into this Chelsea setup with the Champions League with a young team, for him being one of the key players, feeling like okay, I'll be a key man in this Chelsea team, but if they don't get him, they can get a good left winger who would add more goals, because our wingers are not adding a lot of goals. So we need a left winger who would add in more goals, and I think Enzo Maresca leading these boys next season, this season, a good learning curve, man. We see the ups and downs, and then so going into next season, he will try to improve so well. Not only a good squad, with the chances are Enzo Fernandez, Palmer, Mu creating a good striker, Chelsea can go on and win the Premier League or get into a good stage in the Champions League.
Okay,
yes. Listo, I think that we share Chelsea team now. You best started team now. I mean, we had a lot of squad, and coach Maya was squad depth. Here, but I mean, in recent time, we Chelsea team now. Makwa say, young wingers, we share. I mean, if a team of Belgian league, especially 1 or 2 wingers, be apart from striker, one or two wingers should be able to provide more than 20 goals involvement a season. But looking at wingers, we have Noni Madueke, who is also improving from the previous seasons of Chelsea. Pedro Neto, who sharing records from Wolves. He's not that kind of player who beats that kind of numbers, but this season he has also improved. The only player in our setup, wingers, is Yamaka say, why yes, I that was a year. Jadon Sancho, when he had 40 goals involvement in a season for Borussia Dortmund. Since that, to me, so I obvious we need a striker, we need a winger, we need a centre back. But I also stress that we should buy a left back. In fact, check Liverpool. Any teams are competing now. Liverpool have won the league. In terms of Alisson, goalkeeper your friend Mamadashvili, and equally good goalkeeper, he can start in all the teams on board top 5. They've also Konate, Virgil van Dijk, any other day they must start to all the teams. They want to make inclusions. They have right back. There's academy boy as Arnold Amba boy. Bradley. They've also from Pong, they are also bringing in Zubimendi. They are bringing in Florian Wirtz. So unable to catch up with the Champions League too. No, or build team say be a position behind. You have 2 key players at any other day. Or mobile team they will start. So with me, I think that with the defense, Chelsea project. If Wesley Fofana is fit, he's going to start or complementing the kind of football on Bizombolo. Or Levi Kowo. In fact, Kowo starts me this season. He's been dribbled past just 9 times, and there's been improvement when the game anymore. There's 1 or 2 things we believe that, and I believe that if there's Liverpool, a question team now Liverpool profile M50, you also have another equally good left center defender Obetimi. So with me, I think that Chelsea will need to strengthen the center back option. Maybe Tosin Adarabioyo or as a free agent, you won't pay anything. You can maintain him. If you want to sell Chalobah and make some profit, it means that if Chalobah is going, you are buying another defender in the profile like Chalobah. If not, Ube keep Chalobah Krana. You have to buy in. You can keep Chalobah. You can keep Tosin with Fofana still available and buy another left-footed centre back. If Kowo is not there, you can play Wakako say, but they are still a very good or a dash squad player. But the intensity of the Premier League, raised a lot of questions about him and an inclusion of our Chelsea team So getting another centre back. In fact, Chelsea were 9 centre backs. Likely say Bimumbeko, Renato Vega, Disasable, players are. It looks likely these players will leave. But with the current crop of players, you can make inclusions. Then I mean, you can, if you have six center backs, I don't have any problem with that. With the right back position, we don't have any issue with that because Regimes and Malo Gusto, these are players that according to how the coach wants. Malo Gusto also another player in ultimate attacking, ultimate defending, but let's say the delivery into the box and in the final balls, no, and maybe ensure great as Regimes, but defending, clearing the lines and everything is so good. I think that Chelsea needs to buy a left back, and I'm hoping, sir, Robinson of Fulham, Chelsea should buy him. In fact, there are two key left backs no more Premier League in this season. A lot of people have been talking about. It means also be checking all this graph now to show me. Yen checking Robinson, and Marco Cucurella with data MB almost start in terms of area abilities, in terms of somewhere right back start yen for ball and running, yen for ball and crossing, expected assist, progressive passes. Say yen ball and man come a striker and number 10 in 25 yards. I mean 25 yards or why everything which so the me Cucurella until so share graph now list so be here Cucurella then a red and then they or only then you blue or them kitu heavy. So it tells you that if you are bringing Robertson, one of the highest and rated left backs in the league, coming to compete with Marco Cucurella, who also had an incredible season. In fact, was also improving in terms of goals. A ban assist used to Robertson was 10 assists, more than any other defender in the league this season. Sending any Cucurella so more goals. And then when we have Benchilwell, Abraham all at the peak of the career. You can offer Marco Cucurella by just to create that competition. If Robertson buy, I won't be surprised. But apart from Marco Cucurella, there is another Brandon Eddie Milos Kekes, who is also a player for Borussia Bournemouth. And he's been linked with Manchester City, even Real Madrid, and then Liverpool when they want to strengthen the squad. And they also Enfa Robinson and Milo Kekes then also. He is the only player who said this season, and also equal here to toe with Robinson. But in fact, we'll check your mommy in graph now. Robinson, in terms of area abilities, or the ball all the left backs in the Premier League this season. Obe checking the ball carrying, he's also ahead. Obe checking the crosses into the box. So this is a player what make it 10 assists. Now who checking the crosser? Adiama Milo Keke see very good and say how he runs and make it cross and come Clivert ne Watara any Semenyo into the box. Who checking the crosses, expected assist, checking the progressive pass and defensive actions. And the only thing Milos Kekes, Eddie BT Robinson, the duels. And I think that signing players who will come and compete very key. Right now, Andre Santos Obano, it means that he's coming to compete with that number 6 row, number 8 box to 2 pivotal row and everyone. He's coming to compete. And team now with that good healthy competition now. And Mau compete at the top. So if Chelsea wants to compete, we should buy a perfect replacement, perfect competition, a bit more players. So I think that in the left back row, I think that we have to buy a left back because Chelsea need any natural left back with him anymore. We could call every man. Any other players in a left back piano, players or mere centre backs are you do more about that row. And I will look into that player. In terms of midfield, I think that we have a lot of players there. Caicedo as the number 6 row. We have Caicedo and Romeo Lavia who can play, and in fact, Caicedo actually will say he is consistent. This year, 38 games out of 38. One of the players starting all the games. The last time played was Aya Branton and Cesar Spilicueta. So if you have him now with Romeo Lavia, you have Enzo Fernandez, and you have Aya Santos. It means that you have players number 6, number 8. You have Aya Branton and Aya Kopama. And then Joao Felix, I don't know if you are going to sell him or Chelsea is going to make him stay. If he's going to stay, he will be a better backup to Kopama. And in fact, Estavio Willian Eba, now finally, after the Club World Cup, reports interest say he's going to be a squad player. Obviously, this is a player he can play as an attacking midfielder, as a number 10 row, and also play from the flanks. So I think that the main issue of Chelsea for is Listo, they should maintain the striking role. And I don't see any player off team because that
what striking role from last season and this season, what Chelsea have gone through in terms of
the
goal
main
scoring.
striking role.
Yeah.
And check it the last season and this season. Akwa say used to check it Chelsea this season. Petima Oma create a lot of chances especially in the Premier League. Ubebo obiti say Liverpool create a lot of chances in the league this season. Obienwa only Liverpool create more big chances than Chelsea. 150 for Liverpool and 120 for Chelsea. And only Manchester City and averaging more possession than Chelsea in the league this season. And only Arsenal and they concede fewer goals than Chelsea. So who check Chelsea team now? I say possession wise, start possessing football now. Enzo Maresca personal ball. The only team with me ball that possessing football more than him. Nipakona or understanding which is Pep Guardiola. In terms of defensive, say concede fewer goals. Only Arsenal. Almost started almost dark art of defending this season. And they concede more goals. And Liverpool are OG League, and the team are creating more chances. So all things being equal, if Chelsea are able with Estavio coming, it means that the chances creation will also improve. Enzo Fernandez this season in all competition, 20 goals. Last season, the goals contribution used to drew even 10 impo. So if Chelsea any striker obetima converting in those chances at Chelsea be created, it means that the goal tally a bit and I don't see any player fitting this Chelsea game style of football. No other player than Victor Osimhen. Right now, Saudi is for this guy attempting, but then someone who is closer to the player, also a legend to the team. Mawaya say this boy wants to play for Chelsea. He doesn't care about the monies Saudi for the neighbor. So with me, accountant Nisikana currently original about Chelsea, and then they looking at everything. I think that he is this missing piece. Oh, Chelsea on period. Maybe when he 26 years, but yet he can still play for the next 4 or 5 years for Chelsea. And I think that after Victor Osimhen, Sa Ekitike, and all these players can. Yet you are going to lose Christopher Nkunku, who play on to me. Yes, say Yameji boy and fan running. Missing Maguire. You can buy 2 strikers. Now they added to Nicholas Jackson. Or rating highly say they believe that he can improve and add a lot of things. And how on the ball. There are few players on board. You do not need to go and spend 80 million. So Kwakofa Obiti say who go Ekitike, someone who flopped at PSG Edinaba team beat Chelsea. And medical can say any player behind the bit my big club. A fact. So to me, I think that the centerpiece Chelsea should get a left back because next season, so Kukrela anywhere, a better to be a left back, go bet my boy do that position.
So that role had to.
Yes, on the
because that had to he can play as
a centre
back and
as a
left back.
Yeah.
So bet my invert so no. And I'm expecting say apart from defenders in the movie I'm account.
Oh yeah, Chelsea will buy a defender, a centre back. So me, I'm looking at Zabia. There are 3 places that Chelsea have to reinforce: a centre back, a left back, and a striker. And especially goalkeeping role. All my always say they are bringing the highest rated goalkeeper in Europe top 5 leagues, which is Petrovic. And in fact, if Petrovic is back, now say Mike Pendes ever call Strasbourg on loan, Petrovic is coming to compete with Sanchez. I believe that Sanchez, apart from say some petty goals be a share, Petrovic is that goalkeeper now, or not yet that shot stopper. Sago is going to mention, and he was also improving. I would say with Sanchez in the Premier League this season with the highest percentage save, and also Petrovic also coming in. I think that it's also going to help the team in some ways. So apart from the goalkeeping role, we don't have a problem. But the centre back, left back, and the striking department, they should strengthen those parts.
Okay, right. I was every day be a multi pay biba. Important. I was every day be a multi pay biba. Okay, to me order of 10 bill has a Tienshana Yankan was some Okono no copying elbow on a MYB over 1.5. Fenerbahce ene Hataya Sport Fenerbahce to score 2. Hamabi oko yehono na Sweden. Hamabi home over 1.5. Al Hilal ne Akwashia over 2.5. Fatih SC ne Anasa over 2.5. Fire and Shabab over 1.5. And Al Ettifaq and Al Weda over 1.5. Al Ittihad and Damak over 2.5. Al Riyadh and Al Ali Saudi over 2.5. And Hadem Kobo return leg and also over 1.5. Yes, nyame adoma ochna yebeba na yaba be transfer news ni mo kasa na fe yetumi akyerɛkyerɛm kama na bibia tumi akoye wote Vincent County Benedict nka and also ankasa and the best stream here se Bregel and Kofodia fi Cape Coast Kofodia yebe se okɔ country tour nti yebetwa asaka so oba na fe dia ka kyernya dia bremo me din di list over yakramo